Hi, I'm Kathy Johnson, and welcome to Town Talk. My guest today is Claudia Chadwick. Claudia Chadwick is going to talk to us about TOPS, and I'm going to let her tell you what that means. I want to welcome you, Claudia.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you
you for
for
letting
being
me
here.
come on your show. TOP stands for Take Off Pounds Sensibly.
Okay.
And it's an organization that's been around for 70 years. It started in the 1950s by a housewife named Esther Mance at her kitchen table. And it grew and grew and grew to become an international organization now. And they are noticing, however, that a lot of the members were baby boomers who are diminishing, and they have to spread the word. So that's why I'm here. I want to tell everybody what a good organization TOPS is and how many people really have good success with weight loss with it.
Well, this is an old subject. Ever since woman, or man too, I don't want to be sexist here. We've all at some time in our life worried about our weight and our nutrition, and as we age, especially, we worry about our health, and that ties into health. So, give us a little overview. What is so special about TOPS? We've got Weight Watchers, we've got this, we've got that, we've got the glycemic, the Atkins, the whole thing. Tell me something a little unique about TOPS.
TOPS is great because they let you do whatever you feel most comfortable with for a menu plan. And it's also very affordable. Dues range from $8 to $10 a month. They don't require you buy any of their own food because they don't have a product line of food. I, for one, am on the ketogenic diet currently, but most of the members follow a very reasonable, sensible, low-calorie diet plan. But you can customize it to your own preferences. And they give you a lot of freedom, but they give you lots of support, and they make it interesting. There are many events. You can either go to the events or you don't have to. They even have nationwide retreats. And every year here in Connecticut, we have a big shindig in New London at Ocean Beach. And, they try to keep it interesting and lively and creative. There's always, plays, skits, dramatic things, comedic things, to keep everybody's interest up.
Now, Claudia, I want to ask you this. Are there many areas all over the state that you can find one near you? And
Right. The website is tops.org, and you can punch in your zip code and find a meeting. I attend a meeting in Shelton. There's one in Seymour. I know there's one in Naugatuck. All over the state. It's really big on the eastern side of the state.
Oh.
And there's really not much going on in Litchfield or Fairfield counties, but the groups are, range from maybe 10 members on up. Some groups have many more, but we're doing a little membership push.
Right.
And it's open to men and women, and I believe even teenagers can join. I think 16 is the age limit.
Right.
But it may even be less than that. But I like it because it keeps you accountable. It's a weekly meeting, including a weigh-in, and it keeps you kind of focused when you know you're going to have to jump on the scale once a week.
Well, it's always good with a group. Now, we through the years, having fought the battle and been to many groups, how do people, from your point of view or from your own experience, do you start to segue into a diet that seems to work better for you? Or, when you say you can do your own diet, sometimes people can't eat a lot of sugar or a lot of carbs. Or how do they find that out about themselves? How do they find out what is the good thing for them to eat and not? And how do you get a person to focus and think and say, because I know I fought this battle, and I know I won't admit that I ate 7 cookies, even if I came to TOPS. Okay, gee, I don't know. I ate a couple of cookies. I'm not talking about everybody, but how do you view that?
I think keeping a food diary, which I don't always do, I think is huge.
Yeah.
Because once you write down, I ate 7 cookies, or whatever, it keeps you mindful of where you have to go for the rest of the day. And like all the 12-step plans, you have to fight it one day at a time.
One day at a time.
You really
That's
do.
right.
But with me, I decided to do a ketogenic diet, which is high fat, moderate protein, almost no carbs, because I said to myself, okay, I've reached a point in my life where things aren't working the way I want to. I'm not losing as much weight as I should, and I had to have a moment of a clarity and an epiphany and say, okay, what I'm doing is not working. I need to change.
Right.
Which is huge for some people. They never reach that point. And they kind of, the land of denial, you know. But I had to come out of the land of denial and say, if I ever want to change, if I want to get my blood pressure down, if I don't want to stroke out in my 60s, I'm going to have to mend my evil ways.
Absolutely.
And
yeah,
you know.
Well, you know, you only are given so much time. You know, you can cheat the devil because you're young, and you can go on and on and on. But you, as my doctor once warned me, you know, you want to have, in your elderly years, you want to live, and you want those years to be as healthy as possible, because that's when things start breaking down. Now, you mentioned the carbs and all. I imagine the sugar is another, white sugar is another situation in certain fruits maybe, but...
Yeah, fruits are loaded with fructose, natural sugar, but sugar is sugar to the body. And obviously, high fructose corn syrup is probably the worst, but any sugar is going to be metabolized that
way.
That way, and so... there are books out like Sugar Blues that came out, I think, back in the 90s or 80s.
Right.
And the more you learn about sugar, the more it's super bad for you.
Well, you know what I picture when I go in my kitchen? Now, I'm a type 2 diabetic, have been since I was 42, and which is a good 20 years at least. Well, I'm 71, okay? There, I said it. There, I said it. Okay. I try to look at carbohydrates and sugar as if they have a skull and crossbones on them. Poison. For me, they are poison.
Yeah.
When I eat them, but I don't always stick with it, because I have to tell myself, okay, it's like having any addiction. Say an alcoholic. You can never walk in a bar again. You can never... you can never just take one sip. Well, I have to tell myself, this is what I'm dealing with. I don't know what your experiences have been, but how do you feel? How many years have you been with TAPS, or have you been a while?
I've been with them now for 2 years.
Okay.
And I enjoy the camaraderie a lot.
Right.
And I think I would have balked with some of the more strict plans to say you must buy our foods, prepackaged or whatever, stick to our diet, because that's just how I am.
And not
only
only
maverick.
I'm a maverick too.
Yeah.
And also too, I like the price.
And it is $32 a year, and you do get a beautiful magazine.
Oh, hold that up. Yes.
Comes monthly, and it's really quite professionally done. Great articles, menu plans for people who don't know where to start. It gives you.
Yep.
A place to start, and
that's wonderful. So
lots of information and success stories of people who lost hundreds of pounds, and it's very inspiring. Keeps you abreast of all the activities, but I had to really say that I am kind of an addict in that respect.
So am I.
And I get irritated with my family members when they bring goodies home.
Oh, yeah.
And because I say, look, if it's in the house, it's going to be calling to me. So I have to kind of treat myself like an addict. Not let stuff in the house.
Yeah, the whole world can't change around you. Well, last night was the carnival, and I just had to, in Oxford, I had to get a fried dough, and I knew darn well that I didn't want to test my sugar after a fried dough. Can you imagine? It's like eating poison for me, but I did it. But then you have to regroup your head, don't you?
Yes.
There's tomorrow. The sun's coming up, and another day.
Tomorrow is another day, Scarlett.
Yeah, yes, that's right. You know, I did find
Yep.
that what you said is so very true. You go, groups like that help you keep going. As a matter of fact, I haven't been to a group in a long, long time, and you really are tweaking my interest, especially now that I am retired
Mm-hmm.
and I have to watch my pennies, and the fact that this is
Yeah.
affordable.
The membership I should have mentioned is $32 a year, and then there's the monthly dues.
And those dues are low.
Yeah, they're $10, $2 a meeting if you want to get technical.
That's fabulous.
Yeah, it's
I
very
mean,
affordable.
I mean, I don't want to be so presumptuous to say that everybody could, because there might be people that are really, really, but for the vast majority, even those retired, that is not a bad situation. No,
The money people spend on junk food could easily cover it if they give up the junk food and put it towards the TOPS membership, you know.
yeah, yeah. So I see that you have some pins there.
Yep, this is some of the recognition. I have to say, this is one of my favorite parts of the membership. They're really nice, high quality metal enamel pins that, for instance, I'm the secretary at my local TOPS group, and you get a pin for that. You get a pin when you attend the fall rally. Just if you lose
Different
10
pins.
pounds, they'll give you a beautiful enamel pin. So it's really,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
the little heart was sewn by some of the members at my local Shelton group.
Oh my
And
goodness, yes. Now let me ask you a little something. Now our camera might be able to pick it up, but you know what I'll do?
Sure.
We put it down, and I'll
Yep.
see. Now this little paw.
That was because last summer, end of last summer, fall, the theme, they have themes every year,
Okay.
was safari theme at our rally last year. So that's where the paws came
So
in.
the paws.
I lost 10 pounds last summer, so I got the
You got the paw.
paw.
You got the
Yeah.
little paw. Here, let's hold it up again. I wanna show here. Here, these are little paws. They're going to be hard to see, but because we're reflecting. But these are the little animal paws. Those are adorable. Now, see, that's not just one generic pin. You've got
Yeah. And you know, it's really impressive when you go to the rallies and the big events. Some people wear them on vests, and their vests are covered with all
their
because
pins.
they're long-term members, you know.
And
So it's really, and they, you know, when people
it
go to
reminds me of
these,
the Girl Scouts a little. Yeah,
kind of,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And you know what else it kind of reminds me, and I was looking at these ladies and some men too who go up to the stage and get their applause when they lose weight, and I
Yeah.
thought to myself, you know, some people this is the only
Time there.
applause and recognition they get in their life. So they really enjoy it, and it's meaningful.
Well,
You know?
that's a very human thing, because um, people. There used to be that How to Win Friends and Influence People, Gail Carnegie. Or
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
People really want to feel needed, wanted, and valued.
Right.
And that's how a leader of anything,
Mm-hmm.
realizes that, and that
Yep.
you have different personalities in the groups, and as long as how you're interacting with everyone and each other, so that everybody feels that they have some value in that room,
Yep.
that and their own personalities, which many times doesn't happen. I think that alone can help a person lose weight.
Yes.
Wouldn't you say,
I
psychologically?
agree totally. A lot of organizations realize that, and they structure a whole hierarchy of, you know, prizes and recognition and levels of achievement
Sure.
for
sure,
that reason.
Sure.
you know.
It's wonderful. Now I want to look at, may I look at one more
Sure.
pin? Okay, now the bird.
Yeah, I think that was something I got for losing, I don't know, 5 or 10 pounds along my way.
Yeah, and let's see. Even if our audience can't see it,
There's, I'm also currently both the secretary
put my
and
glasses on.
program. Every week we try to talk about something useful and informative.
okay.
So since I'm hardcore with nutrition,
Oh,
my theory is if you're going to be reducing your food intake, you're going to have to supplement with vitamins and minerals and herbs. So
Right.
I'm going to be hammering that in on them this year
Okay.
while I'm holding that office at the group.
Well, that's and we spoke a little bit about vitamins and herbs and
Hmm.
some of the things you do, and we could talk a little about that. But one more pin is catching my eye. Let's see, this one in the middle. It's going to be hard to see, but there's a truck in there or a car.
That was the safari theme for
The
fall.
safari. Oh, he's on safari, and I see the
Yeah,
jungle.
yeah. And so, of course, everybody was dressed up in all kinds of animal garb
Oh,
at
yeah.
the last rally.
Oh, and one last one. Oh, that's a Christmas one.
Yeah, that
Oh,
was.
for those of you, you may not be able to see it, but that are little ornaments with a wreath. Well,
I think it's adorable.
I've never seen
Yeah,
pins like that.
I know. I think it's just so unique and charming, really.
Now, I wanted to talk a little bit about the vitamins, but do you find, and we will go there, but do you find that each individual, like now you're only one person from the group, tops. Do you find that there are people like you that bring in some other information in from time to time of what they've experienced, what they've learned, like you've learned about
Sure.
vitamins? Could you give me an example?
My specialty is the vitamins and nutrition and
Okay.
herbs and natural healing. Other people in the group, we have professional chefs in our group.
Oh,
Some people are really athletic, and some
oh,
people are not. We have a couple of nurses in my group, so they give their unique perspective.
oh, that's amazing.
Yep. It's as individual as each person, what they bring to the group, and that's the beauty of a group. If sitting alone by yourself can be kind of insulated, so that's why
Yeah.
you form friendships, and it's really nice to see somebody get weighed in and lose 6 pounds in a week. And so I was all over him. What did you do this week?
Yeah, how did that
Turned out
happen?
vinegar. Vinegar was
Oh, with
the
the mother in it. Yes,
and it was
yes.
pickles. Somebody had made homemade pickles.
Uh-huh.
Noticed they were eating tons of pickles that week, and the dropped 6 pounds.
The vinegar. Yeah, they
Yeah,
say that cider vinegar with the mother in
one
it.
of the best things you can
You
take.
can take. I
Yeah,
put that on my salads.
very good.
You
Yeah,
know,
that it's
instead of and but see, this is great. You're not just with a lecturer or whatever. Or, you have people that have expertise in there,
yeah.
and I could say, like, suppose I came in and I said to you, you know, I know I'm doing better, but I'm just not losing anything. And somebody might say, maybe the nurse or you, well, what are you eating?
Right.
What do you think you're doing? Have you done this? Have you done that? Or if I might say to you, Claudia, you lost 6 pounds this week. What did you do?
Exactly. We're all noticing that this hot, sweltering weather is sort of our friend and not our friend.
Oh,
So
I'm finding that
I
too.
think like one week everybody loses and the next week nobody loses. I think the body is trying to hold on to water weight so we don't dehydrate or something. But we all have our triumphs and our sorrows,
Well,
you
we
know,
do, we do.
week by week. But we fight the good fight like you did over the years.
Well, yes, it took me a lot of years. I, I, I was a slim child, but I learned around age 10 that I was starting to go through that. Well, in those days, in the 50s, they made special clothes called for chubette. If you remember
How
the
well I remember the Chubette.
chubette. Well, my mother, they'd say to my mother, well, I think your daughter is in the chubette size. Of all the names to give the garment, okay, the chubette size. I remember I had to get my St. Mary's uniform in the chubette size. But I fought it all my life, and I've tried everything. And then also medications you take can start putting weight on you.
Yep.
So, I'm not here to talk about myself, but we did talk. I once weighed as much as 246 pounds. I don't mind telling my weight. Some people do. I weigh 160 now, and sometimes I weigh 158. And when I start seeing myself go up 3 pounds, I say, "Uh-oh, danger,
Right.
red light," and I have to regroup. But I want to talk more about the tops and not me. I try, but I guess we're having a tops meeting right now.
Yeah, well, recognizing the struggle.
Yeah.
For me, it was years and years of having sedentary jobs,
Oh, yes.
just sitting and sitting and sitting for 8 to 10 hours a day.
What was your profession, may I
I
ask?
was a customer service representative, and after that, I was a scheduler for a taxi company.
Uh-huh.
You know, and I
Those,
did administrative assistant work
so
as well.
well, you know, having met you, I thought to myself, my goodness, this is a lady you would want to run your office, want to run the administration of a town, want to be with people. You know, this is the kind of, I see it in you right now. But that kind of job, you're in front of a computer, you're on phones, you know, that is a sedentary job. I can relate to that. I'm a retired cytotechnologist. I read women's pap smears for cancer and biopsy. And you're in a chair like this at a microscope with a couple of breaks a day, and and plus carpal tunnel starts happening.
Right.
You know, so I can relate to that. But please go on. I interrupted you, and I'm sorry.
Most recently, for the past 5 years, I've been caring for my mom who has
Okay.
dementia at home, and fortunately, that afforded me the freedom to take walks every day and take
Oh,
little short ones with her as well.
right.
So it's been fabulous being out. Only do a mile a day. I'm not trying to be a
Oh, yeah.
marathoner,
No, you don't have. Yeah, that's
but I
right.
live in Seymour, and as you know, Seymour is like this.
So
Seymour
that's
is
quite
hilly and almost mountainous in some areas.
just like Oxford in a
Yeah.
lot of ways. Yes, yes. So really, a short
Yeah.
walk is a pretty good workout if you're
Yeah,
going
it's
uphill.
pretty aerobic in some
Yeah,
areas.
yeah, yeah.
So it's taken 2 years though for me to get to feeling really fit. I feel pretty darn good right now.
I have to tell you, what was the first thing I said to you? I mean, you just look beautiful.
Oh,
I
thank
mean, you really, and I always believe too that women should complement each other.
Yeah,
I really believe that. I'm not so much you know, into the sexist thing, or I'm not that sensitive, let's put it that way. But I think it's good for women to tell each other that they've done something
yeah.
well and they look beautiful. And
Fighting it every step of the day, you know, every
well,
day of my life.
well, me too.
Yeah.
Me too, and you have to try harder the older you get. For some reason, you know, you can't get by, you know, it's hard. You can fall apart in a minute.
But you know, aside from the
Yeah.
surface and vanity thing and appearances, I've seen too many people of my age group. I'm 61 going on 62.
Okay.
I've seen too many people die.
Oh, yes.
Um,
You start seeing it at the late 50s in
Yeah.
the obits. Yes.
and I see a lot of people who I think it could have been avoided. The
Yes.
proper nutrition
The proper,
and proper lifestyle.
sure, sure.
And it really is almost like a crusade I feel I have to carry on. Because because I don't have a degree in nutrition, but I'm thinking of rectifying that. People don't take what I say seriously, but at this point I feel like getting really obnoxious in people's faces and saying, you've got to do this, you've got to start supplementing, you've got to, eliminate certain foods from your life.
Well, you know, that is correct, Claudia, because I'm a bit older than you, and I'm starting to find that I'm not having big problems, but some gastric situations, some things like that. As I said, I'm diabetic, and I've had to really take a good look in the mirror. Now, I never smoked or really drank in my life, but, you know, food is my thing, and I had to, and the foods I'm not supposed to have are wonderful. So I see exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
At some point, you have to say stop in your head. Stop. Yeah. Yeah.
You might consider going gluten-free. A lot of intestinal tummy problems are gluten-related.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, we all, first of all, if you ever sit down and notice how much wheat people are eating, and that's the source of gluten,
Oh, yes.
as well as rye, oats, and barley,
Right.
people eat a ton of bread.
A ton of bread, and the
And-
cereals are loaded with sugar and carbs.
Right.
So unhealthy.
And what I've learned is that gluten goes through your system, and you don't have to be full-blown celiac disease for it to have a bad effect on you. Just about anybody, and certain ethnic groups are more, Mediterraneans I think are more prone, but the way they grow the wheat here in this country too, with glyphosate, which is Roundup,
Oh,
which remains in the product,
I've heard that on
it
TV today.
goes through your intestinal tract like napalm. And glyphosate will kill your intestinal bacteria and all the good flora in your intestinal tract.
Oh my
Just
goodness.
decimate it.
This is interesting.
And then you are unable to absorb your nutrients because
Aha.
the intestinal tract is always inflamed. Not crazy inflamed, but just enough to impair the absorption of nutrition.
Right.
So I started out with a gluten-free diet and said, well, if I'm eliminating grains, so many grains, just take all grains out.
Well, that's right, because whether whether you need you need to be gluten-free or not for that, the grains and the breads are really
Yeah,
see, and how hard that is to do.
super hard.
Super hard to do.
But I think more food producers are understanding more people want to be gluten-free. I mean, even Dunkin' Donuts has a gluten-free brownie now, I just noticed.
Really?
Yes,
Now a
to my dismay.
now a gluten-free brownie.
Yeah.
How do you make a brownie without?
Well,
what do
there's
you
other
take out of the
grains.
flour?
Well, you use other grains, like you can use garbanzo bean flour, quinoa flour,
Right.
rice flour.
oh,
And the problem with gluten-free baking is that gluten and wheat, by its nature, has that puffy, beautiful rising quality. But gluten-free things tend not to rise, so you add xanthine gum to it
to make
to
it puffy.
make it puff up. But your gluten-free product is always going to be a little heavier
Yeah.
than a beautiful loaf of artisanal bread or something.
Yeah. Can I ask you about gluten? One more thing
Sure.
about gluten. If I'm now I'm diabetic, so if I ate gluten, would it react differently? Can I get away with that as it makes sugar?
You probably could get away with it, but here's the thing. It'd be fun to try. Well, I'm sort of an experimenter.
And see what it does.
To go gluten-free for a month, if you can, or even a week. I notice that when I eat gluten, I get a puffy face.
Yeah, yeah.
And when I don't, I get more.
And I'm wondering if a gluten-free bread, in moderation or in not in excess.
Aldi has a great gluten-free bread, by the way.
And I'm wondering if that would cause my body to make
I
the
think it
sugar.
could only help you.
Yeah. Would you think it would make sugar?
Well, sure. I mean, it's still going to have carbs.
Yeah.
Still has carbs,
Yeah.
but it doesn't have gluten.
Okay.
And I get my information from Dr. Joel Wallach, who's the Dead Doctors Don't Lie guy, if you remember him.
The what?
Dead Doctors Don't Lie.
Dead doctors don't lie.
He recommends everyone be gluten-free. And this is, I should probably also say, this has nothing to do with Tops. This is my own personal
Yes,
belief.
we kind of did segue. Yeah. Yes, but we're gonna.
Tops doesn't advocate any particular kind of diet.
No,
But this
as
is
you
my
said,
thing. It's the
as you
gluten-free,
said,
keto,
As you said, what was it? Take off pounds sensibly.
Right.
And you're free to do your own thing. Talk
Right.
to each
And this
other.
is my own thing. The keto and the gluten-free is my belief, my personal belief. It is not affiliated with Tops in any way.
No. Well,
but,
but Claudia, you're
Yeah.
such an interesting personality that it was inevitable that we would segue off a little bit.
Thank
you. I am sorry about that, but I think people like to know personalities of people and hear. I would hope there are some people watching us right now who are saying, "Gee, I didn't know this," or "I didn't know that." But let's go back to Tops for a minute. Now, where do you attend?
I attend at St. Joseph's Church in, they have a nice building behind the church where we hold our meetings in Shelton.
Oh.
It's Tops Chapter 170. Each chapter has a number.
Okay.
And there are other groups in Shelton. As I said, Seymour, Naugatuck. Naugatuck has a very serious group.
Oh.
And they lose a lot of weight because they are faithful to their food diaries.
How did that happen in Naugatuck? Is something in the water?
It's well, they're ladies of our age group who are very focused.
Yes.
And they run a
and
tight
mature.
ship.
Oh, okay. So,
Which is, I didn't think I could knuckle under and behave and do the food diary every week, so I opted for a little more lenient chapter.
So in other words, what you're saying is that some of our viewers could shop around.
Absolutely. There's, if not every town, every group of towns has a chapter, and like I said, Eastern Connecticut for some reason has a bunch of Tops chapters.
Right. But you've settled into at St. Joseph's in Shelton.
Yeah,
Well,
the one in Seymour meets at Shady Knoll.
Okay.
This is another nice venue, a nice big spacious room, and you know, each chapter has its flavor. Some chapter, because we meet in a church, we don't do the 50-50 and the things, you know.
You feel the gambling.
But the Seymour chapter has all kinds of, you know, they do things to make it interesting, and you know, it's a fun group. But the membership is dwindling because, you know, so many of them were of baby boomer age and older.
Sure. And
so we really have to whip up some interest.
Yeah. Usually, I'm the earliest of the baby. Usually, as they get older, they don't want to go out anymore and things like that, and then they're leaving this world too. But you know,
Yes.
we hate to say it that way, but that happens. So the one in Naugatuck, where's that located?
They meet at a church. Oh, I wish I could remember. It's near that Irish dance studio in Naugatuck on the main road.
Okay. All
you know
right.
that general area?
Yes. Is it near Howe Avenue?
It's in a church as well. Well, frequently churches are the
venue.
places.
Yeah.
But I can't remember.
Well, that's okay,
But
Claudia.
that information would be available on the website. They'll
Yes.
let you search by radius of miles.
And I think we have your website up there.
Tops.org.
Tops.org.
Yep.
Yep. And that'll give them all the information of the venue, and something about them.
Yep, when they meet. Some meetings are during the day, some are at night. One in Naugatuck actually meets at 1 in the afternoon.
So then people working
Retired people can go.
retired people that explains why that age group is in the Naugatuck one. Yes, yes, it does. And how often does that magazine come out? I think
monthly. Bi-monthly, I believe.
Bi-monthly.
Yeah, this is August bi-monthly. And I really, I really am impressed with the quality of the printing and the quality of the articles and how many different...
it's very professional.
Look at how nice the paper is,
Yeah, really.
Like I said, and they do give you menu plans and lots of inspirations, case histories, stories of people who've lost, anywhere from 50 to 100 pounds. And then one really nice thing is this is a pull-out. This section, once a year they come out with what they call My Day One, which is a step-by-step.
Right here,
how to do it. If you have no idea how to start, it tells you how to do that. Emphasizing activity as well. Giving you, perfect meal plans with even the snacks are included, what you're allowed to eat. I mean, it's very comprehensive.
Now, Claudia, if I were to, let's say I were to sashay into Shelton, into St. Joseph's, okay, what would I find? Is there someone giving a lecture? Is it a roundtable group?
Yep. Every week we have a little topic, and I want to extend an invitation to you and everybody else.
Okay.
We really want people to come. But there's the weigh-in, the moment of truth, and
that comes first.
Yep. And then we tabulate our results. We, as a group, we gained or lost how much weight. There's little prizes for the best loser.
Okay.
That is, everybody who gains throws a quarter in a pot, and the one who's the best loser gets the money.
Oh, that's
sometimes you really can cash in if everyone else has been bad.
Oh my gosh, yes, that's great.
But then we have a topic, and they run the gamut, a wide range of topic. It's not just
now. Is there
diet.
one person at the table that week is kind of leading the group? Okay, so you take turns.
We take turns, and sometimes we'll even get nutritionists to come in or other motivational speakers.
Yeah. Oh, how interesting! Because in my past, I wouldn't tear down any organization, but in my past, the places I've gone is you sit there, you listen to the lecture, how many did this, how many did that, and you're in a classroom almost, in some respects. People do and take, but this sounds more like a more of a give and take.
Yes.
But
you're not compelled to. You don't have to.
You don't have to speak.
You could sit there silently the whole time if that's your style,
Sure, because unlike me, I could, I could talk forever, and I have to be careful. But we have to be cognizant of those who would rather just take in you know.
Oh, and the weigh-in is confidential.
Oh, that's
you
good.
are not compelled to reveal anything if you don't want to.
Right.
And certainly you're not shamed. I remember hearing horror stories about another group, another organization, who actually would shame people if they'd gained, you know. And
Not a good
that
thing.
does not happen.
It
No, this
never
is a
works.
loving, supportive, warm atmosphere.
No, because what happens is you fear failure. You're apt to fail even more, and apt to never go back because of the.
Right.
You won't go back. It's too upsetting.
Right.
Yeah.
And sometimes people do reach their goal and then stop coming, and then the weight creeps back on, and they say, "Oh my gosh, I can't go back. I can't face the group." But they're always encouraged to come back, even if they have gained, because that's when you need the moral support the most.
Now, I'm going to guess that you're an extremely valuable part of that group because let me give you a scenario. You're going to get all personalities, and somebody's going to say to someone, "How could you have done that?" You know, or
Oh,
you know, or
yeah.
you know, you can't eat that. You know, and they mean well. You
No,
usually
I've
want
never heard that. I've never heard that at a meeting,
good.
because we've all fallen, you know,
Okay.
and we've all been there.
All right, yeah, yeah, because you know, I don't want people to be fearful that they would, yeah,
No,
yeah,
absolutely not. I'm sure that wouldn't, and if anyone dared act like that, they'd probably be chastised right away.
yeah. Oh, don't say
Yeah,
that or anything
yeah,
like that. Yeah,
no.
yeah.
But most of the people are still fighting their own battles and struggling, so they're not in a position to
They're not in a
get high and
position.
mighty.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You know, but I tell you, you know, the other thing too that do you ever talk about at Tops? Going out when you're buying your clothing or doing something like that, to realize that you can look beautiful through every stage of what you're doing, things like that. I always felt that if I dressed well and felt good and looked at the positive things about myself, does that ever come up?
No, but you know, I think I know someone. I don't think he'd mind me mentioning. His name is Harry Minot, and he was the general manager at WPKN Radio in
Uh
Bridgeport.
huh.
And he's one of the biggest proponents of fat acceptance I've ever met.
Yes.
And you know, um, our society's been very hard on heavy people. And
Very hard.
lately, there's been the emergence of some large models like Tess Munster. I don't know if you've seen her.
Is she the bathing
She's
suit one?
gorgeous, but yeah, she's a very big lady.
But yeah, but
And
she's a beautiful
she's
woman.
very beautiful.
Yes.
And nothing gets people more polarized and crazy than the big, beautiful models, you know.
Right.
Some people think it's disgusting and gross, and it's encouraging people to be heavy. But you know, there's so much self-loathing in with heavy people that
Yes.
anything you can do to feel better about, you know, I mean, heck, you know, how are you supposed to get out there and swim and be fit and exercise if you're loathing every moment of being in your
You
overweight body, you know?
you can't enjoy life.
Right.
And,
So I'm not advocating people be
heavy
morbidly obese,
and giving them an excuse. Yeah.
having been there, you know?
Yeah.
But the I mean, it's let's face it, you know, heavier people tend to die
Earlier.
earlier.
Yeah.
But then again, anorexia is not beautiful either. So, you know,
No, no, it's not.
I think that it's a beautiful thing when people can feel self-love at any weight, but there's always room for improvement.
Sure, sure. You know, you
You
walk
know,
that tightrope. I'm sure this is discussed sometimes at your TOPS meetings. That you know, you get into a thing that, oh gee, I look really, you know, I can let myself go a little bit now. I was good for 4 days. I was good for 5 days. I can just eat again. Or
well,
no, not
I
so.
think that happens, but I don't think anyone tries to justify it.
No.
You know, I
Yeah.
think everybody there is pretty focused on the fact that you're there means you're trying, you know.
You know, I think I know that model you're talking about. I think she does. She is gorgeous.
Yeah, she's sort of got a retro feel to her style. You know,
Yeah.
she sometimes looks like the 50s pinups or
Yeah.
even the
Yes.
40s and 30s pinups.
Yes. Yes.
And yeah, it sends people into orbit because it really pushes people's buttons.
You know,
And I always say, hey, we've looked at anorexic models for 50 years. One fat model shows up on the scene and everyone loses their minds, you know?
well, that's the thing, and you know, you see the news media, all the women reporters are, yes, they're slim. Although once in a while, I do see one that, well, to me is thin, but she's a little bit bigger than the other, you know. But you know, it's a stigma, like
Well,
many.
it's one of the last things that can be ridiculed publicly is fat. Everything else has been erased by political correctness,
Correctness.
right? But
Oh,
fat people are still fair game.
well, you know, it's funny that you bring that up, and you will I'm digress a little bit, but you know, we talk about bullying today, people bullying, but you know, when I was a little girl in grammar school and starting to get chubby, I mean, the boys would call me fatso.
Oh yeah. Well,
You know, if you were the least bit, just a
oh
little bit,
yeah.
just a little fatso, you
I
know.
look at pictures of myself in the 60s and I was a little plumpy,
Hmm.
but not, my God, not gigantic by any stretch of the imagination. I was always the fat kid, you
You know
know?
that, yeah,
Yeah.
that's
But compared to kids now, oh my goodness, we were so much more physically active and out of doors more than children now. Everybody's cloistered away in front of their computer, which is again a factor. People have to get outside and
and they have to
see the
move around.
sunshine, you
They have
know.
to move around. Do you have a favorite thing you do for your activities?
Walking a mile a day
Uh huh.
up and down those hills in Seymour. I
Yeah.
would love to start swimming again, but uh, you know, I'm trying to figure out the best which of the Y's to join or which
Which
gym to
way
join.
which way to go and this kind of thing
I've also come, you know, the chlorine really
messes your hair.
beats your hair to
It,
death.
it does.
So
It
that's
does.
one of the reasons I haven't been
Haven't been
swimming.
doing that.
But I do love swimming, and it's great for big people because it's easier on your joints.
Yes, it is. For a lot of people with different ailments and arthritis, beautiful to work in the water. That's excellent. So, when does TOPS meet? For instance, do they have, like your people will be watching this, and they might say, you know, I would really like to be in Claudia's
Well,
group.
if you want to be in my group, it's 6 p.m., St. Joseph's Church in the rear building behind the chapel, Shelton. Um, that's right near. It's on the street behind Howe Avenue. I'm
And
not
is
good
it
with
once
street
a
names.
week?
Once a week on Thursday at 6 p.m. Come
Thurs
on down.
Come on down Thursday,
Yeah.
6 p.m. once a
Yep.
week. Yeah.
Say Claudia sent me.
You know,
I'll be there.
you know, Claudia, y- I'm thinking of joining.
I
I'm
I would
thinking,
love for you to join.
I am actually considering joining because
Great. I've done a good job then, I guess, with touting tops.
you've done a good job. I as much as I feel successful through, and by the way, my success took many years.
Yeah.
I am not. I am teetering. I would love to lose another 20 pounds. I would love to do that. And you've really sparked my interest on this.
Well, and there are people, and we call them COPS, KOPS, for keeping off pounds sensibly. They're the elite members, so to speak. They're the people who are at their goals, and they still come.
Really?
Yeah, they still come because a lot of them feel the need to. So not everybody's plumpy at the meetings. We have our slender members too, and they come because they need to stay on the straight and narrow.
Oh, yeah.
Because, you know, it is a lifestyle change. I mean, people seem to think they're going to go on a diet, lose all their weight, and then miraculously stay thin for the rest of their life. And
It never happens, does
no,
it?
it's a
No.
lifelong change.
It is. And you know, the thing that I found the hardest, we'll have a little bit of a tops meeting around. The thing I found the hardest was to accept the fact that I just couldn't eat the way I wanted to anymore.
Yeah.
Just because my best friend could eat a banana split every other day didn't mean that I could, because I didn't you have to come to grips with your own self.
It's true. You have to learn to be sort of austere and very disciplined. And the little mantra that goes through my brain is eat it today, wear it tomorrow.
That's right.
You
That's
know?
right. And you can't look at your neighbor across the street and say, how, and usually people who happen to have, whether it is their body type, their blood type, or whatever, you know, they happen to have that, don't realize that everybody can't eat the same way.
Right.
Well, I don't understand. I've heard this many times. I don't understand why that person can't lose weight while the thin person who can eat ice cream, can eat cake, can do it more often, can do some other things simply because their body type was that way. Although, as you pointed out, with what they're doing with foods today, we have, with people who wouldn't ordinarily have it, they have an obesity problem. They have a problem because of our foods too.
Yes, it's been genetically modified and tampered with, and so many additives put in that you may or may not be eating something that resembles what your grandparents ate, you know.
Well, that's right. Also, too, those who plant and like to have their own gardens, my father used to use the same seeds every year. You know, he could take the seeds and replant. Now I don't even know if they're on the market. I'm not into agriculture, but now you have to find these special seeds that you can keep planting.
Yeah, the heirloom
Heirloom, is
varieties.
that what they call it? Yeah, yeah. So, you know, we're at a time where, and a time in my life, and you mentioned yours, where I would say to our audience, I'll look into the camera. I think maybe today's the day you should look at tops and say, maybe I'm going to change my life. I'm getting older, and maybe it is time to 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 take my life in hand and realize that, you know what, you just can't eat like that anymore. Even if you did once in your life, you just can't.
Yeah, but you know, you can focus on the denial part, but you know what, when you start to lose weight and start to feel better, and especially if you're incorporating exercise and start to feel so much more fit, the rewards are huge. I mean, I can go up my stairs now without huffing and puffing and feeling like I'm going to die and feeling my knees grinding. You know, my knee joints were really starting to bother me, and thank God it's improved.
Well, you know, funny you mentioned that, because my knees used to hurt me a lot when I was at my highest weight and in between. You know,
I'd rather lose weight than get a joint replacement, thanks.
Thank you very much. Yeah. That's exactly right. My choice, we have a few more minutes and I'm going to have you close, but before we do, my choice of exercise, my most favorite thing, and the thing that makes me the most happy in this world is horseback riding. I love to ride horses, but you know, the problem is I have to take into consideration, you know, falling off. You know, it is still a horse, you know, but in my life, that gave me great pleasure. And believe it or not, horseback riding strengthens your core.
Oh, yeah.
Your core.
Yeah. It's probably the best thing in the world for your thighs, I would imagine.
Oh, yes. And I could get out of bed when I was riding, and just this last year, and not have my back stiff and have to try to help myself up. I could get up where my muscles were well enough, I could just jump right up. Well, since I haven't been riding, it's come back. But I want to give you an opportunity to tell our audience, and you'll be on camera yourself. Tell them we still have minutes. Just tell them something more and passionate or whatever you want to tell them about tops. In a closing remark. Thank you.
It's about, for me personally, I decided I wanted to live long and have a high quality of life, not just a long lifespan. And I had to really face the fact that my doctors were looking at me very askance and saying, you know, a stroke is going to be in your future if you don't really get your blood pressure down, lose weight, and take some weight off. And, you know, it was literally, I had to say, look, I'm bound and determined to last a long time, if only to be a thorn in the side of people. But no, I'm I have a very strong conviction in living long. And I mean, I would like to have a 120-year lifespan, you know.
Sure.
And
Sure.
I'm not kidding when I say that, which is why I take some really cutting edge supplements and feeling good and looking good the whole time.
We have a little bit more time to name off a couple of supplements that you think are really good if you
I'm
want.
huge with antioxidants. I'm a huge proponent of pycnogenol, which is French maritime pine bark. I took some before I came here today, so I'd be mentally sharp.
You are mentally sharp.
And I love things like muscadine grapeseed, and I'm huge on the minerals too, taken in the fulvic, or shall we say plant-derived minerals. You could do a whole show on just that.
We should do that one day.
And minerals and proper vitamins and certain herbs. Cayenne pepper, I've heard it said that you could probably just take cayenne pepper in all its various forms and do wonders for your health.
Really, I love
Yep.
cayenne pepper on everything. That's wonderful.
But turmeric, of course, is the supplement of the hour. Everybody's taking that because they're fighting off or want to prevent Alzheimer's.
Well, I worry about that.
In India, they found they have a low Alzheimer's rate, and they eat so much curry, which is loaded with turmeric.
Mm-hmm.
You know, things like, I mean, it's an infinite topic, but I love the antioxidants. Everybody should be eating those blueberries.
Blueberries.
Scarf and blueberries.
Oh, my little granddaughter Olivia loves blueberries.
One of the most fun things you can do is go down to Jones's and pick the blueberries there in
Oh,
Shelton.
yes, Jones's, yes.
Some of the best memories of my life are picking blueberries at Jones's with my daughter.
Well, I think we're going to sign off in a minute. So remind people of the website again.
Again, it's tops.org.
Okay.
Put your zip code in and find out where there's a meeting near you. But in Connecticut, we have meetings dotted all over the map. You shouldn't have to drive far to find one.
Well, if the group is anything like talking to you and the fun I'm having today, as I told the public, I'm going to come down and I'm going to see what's going on there.
Great.
Thank you very much. I want to tell my wonderful husband who is running the equipment today that I'm getting ready to sign off and say goodbye to the public. And, Claudia, I want to thank you very much for being here.
Thank you for letting me come on.
And thank you for coming on and
My
being
pleasure.
interested enough in this show to come and join us.
My pleasure.
Thank
You're a
you.
delightful interviewer.
Thank you so much. You're a delightful guest.
Thanks.
Okay. This is Kathy Johnson saying we're leaving now. I'm going to tell you to have a good evening and a better tomorrow. Take care.